These are the notes for 42820. This is assignment number 23, 8.4b. More trig identities. I've got 4 examples for you. So a lot of times with trig identities, what you want to do is you want to change things into sines and cosines. So everything looks more complicated, but it's more able to be manipulated. Remember, we do not work just from one side. We don't work the 2 sides together. So I'm going to come over here, and first I'm going to turn the right side into sine over cosine. Because that's what I'm aiming for. Then I'm going to turn this side into 1 plus sine over cosine over 1 plus cotangent is cosine over sine. So generally, once you get to this point, then you want to turn it, you want to get rid of all the fractions inside the fractions in your rational expression. So to do that, I'm going to multiply by the least common denominator of everything in there, which is sine cosine. If I multiply top and bottom, I can do that. All I'm doing is multiplying by 1, so I'm not changing anything. All right, so on the top, I end up with sine cosine times 1 is sine cosine, plus sine cosine times sine over cosine. The cosines cancel. I get sine squared. Then on the bottom, I get sine cosine. Plus the sines cancel. I get cosine squared. All right, so I'm getting closer. Now I need to reduce this fraction. So I've got to take out my common factor. So I've got sine on the top times cosine, times cosine plus sine. I just factored out a sine. Then on the bottom, I'm factoring out a cosine, so that leaves me a sine plus cosine. So now sine and cosine is the same factor. It can cancel. I'm left with sine over cosine, which is what I'm searching for. That's what I'm aiming for, so I'm done. The next one, starting again just with the left-hand side to see what I'm aiming for, I can rewrite 2 times the cosecant of x as that's 2 times 1 over the sine, so that's 2 over the sine. That's what I'm aiming for. When I get to 2 over the sine, then I'm where I need to be. So over here, I'm going to put these together in one fraction, one rational expression. So to do that, I need a common denominator. So my common denominator is going to be 1 plus the cosine times the sine. So this first one, it already has the 1 plus cosine, so I'm going to have to multiply top and bottom times sine. That's going to give me sine squared. Plus my second fraction, I already have sine, so I need 1 plus the cosine. Oops. So I've got 1 plus cos, 1 plus cos. That gives me my denominator. So now this becomes, I have to FOIL that out. 1 plus the cosine times 1 plus the cosine is 1 plus 2 cosine plus cosine squared. So now I can simplify that. On the top, I have sine squared plus cosine squared. Whenever you see that, you think, oh, good. So I've got sine squared plus cosine squared. Those together add to 1, so I can just write 1. Plus 1 plus 2 cos over 1 plus cos times the sine. This top simplifies to 2 plus 2 times the cosine. So I'm going to be able to factor a 2 out of there. And it's going to be 1 plus cosine. Because these two came together to be a 2. 2 plus 2 cosine, factor out the 2. Then I have on the bottom 1 plus cosine times sine. 1 plus cosines cancel, and I'm left with 2 over sine, which is what I'm aiming for. All right. This one, again, I'm changing everything into sines and cosines. I'm wanting this to be 1, so I need the same on the top as I have on the bottom. So this gives me sine over cosine plus 1, nope, cosangent is cosine over sine. Cosine over sine. All of that is over 1 over the cosine times 1 over the sine. So the common denominator is just going to be sine cosine. So on the top, first the cosines cancel and I just have sine squared. Plus then the sines cancel on cosine squared. On the bottom, the whole denominator, remember this is multiplication, so this is all together in 1. So the whole denominator cancels with that. So it's just over 1. So this is just equal to sine squared plus cosine squared, which we know is actually equal to 1. All right, so for this one we want to look at what we're aiming for. So first of all, we need a 1 plus sign on the bottom. All right, so I'm just going to put 1 plus sign top and bottom. So when I FOIL out this top, those are conjugates. So when I multiply that out, I'm going to get 1 minus sine squared. And on the bottom, I have cosine times 1 plus the sine. Now 1 minus sine squared, by now hopefully you're starting to recognize when you see that. 1 minus sine squared is the cosine squared. So this is cosine squared over cos 1 plus sine. So I can cancel out this cosine with one of these. So I'm left with cosine over 1 plus the sine, which is what I'm aiming for. So I'm done. All right, that was the last one for you on this one. Have a good day.